Okay, 6:30. We definitely have a quorum. I'm going to call this public session order by roll call vote. Steve McDougall present. Frank Devine. Chris Hasagaba. Stephanie McMurtry Adams.
Here.
Peter Rodello. Here. Do we have any public comment before close? Okay. With that, I would love to entertain a motion to go into closed session, please.
So moved.
Is there moving a second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries 5-0-0. Okay. I am going to reconvene into open session. I need a motion, please. It's been moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries 5-0-0. Pledge of Allegiance. Flag is over there in the corner. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Staff needs to pull one item from the agenda, and that is under consent D2. I think it's a resignation. Is it a resignation? No, it's a hire. They need to pull that from the agenda, consent D2. But other than that, I'd like to entertain a motion on the agenda as amended, please.
So moved.
It's been moved
I'll second.
and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Are there any nays? Any abstentions? Okay. Motion carries. All right. Now that we've done that, we need to elect our board officers. Education Code 35143 requires an organizational meeting each year for trustees to elect officers and establish the day and time for regular meetings of the board. We'll start with the election of officers. All newly elected officers of the board shall serve a one-year term up to the next organizational meeting in December 2023. That should say 2023. Upon conclusion of the election for office of president, the duly elected president immediately assumes office and conducts the remainder of the meeting. So we'll get that out of the way first. And with that, we have election of the board president. Is there anyone that would like to nominate someone for board president? Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded to nominate Chris Hasagawa for board president. Do you accept the nomination?
I do, as long as you don't want to do it.
I'm good.
Okay.
Okay. All right, anyways, are there any other nominations for board president? Going once?
I'd like to nominate myself.
There's a nomination for board president for Stephanie McMurtry Adams. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Do you, obviously you accept?
I
So
do.
anyways, all right, had to ask anyway. Are there any other nominations for board president? Are there any other nominations for board president? Are there any other nominations for board president? Robert's rules, I know it sounds redundant, but anyway. Okay, so we'll start with the first nomination and take a vote. All those in favor of Chris Hasagawa as board president, please say aye.
Aye.
I'm an aye. Maybe
Point of
show of
order.
hands, I didn't.
Excuse me, Steve.
Yeah.
It's roll call.
Oh, roll call vote? I'll start with Frank Devine. You're an aye? Peter Odello? Stephanie?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So how do we do this if there's two candidates? So if
Well,
he,
we're taking a vote on the first nomination, seeing if it passes, then it's a move after that.
that's me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, nay.
Nay, okay.
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Motion carries 4-0-1. We have a new board president. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
Shall we switch chairs?
We shall.
Okay.
Hey, later on.
And the little,
Okay, yeah.
and the nameplate, yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
Can't we have Okay.
Steve, thank you for your service. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Steve.
Sure. Okay, now you got,
Right, I was just watching Teresa do her thing.
okay.
Yeah,
Now you've got to do vice president and clerk.
right. Okay, so nominations are open for election of vice president of the board. Any nominations?
I nominate Stephanie for vice president.
Okay, is there a second? Do you get the who's and where's? Okay, any other nominations for vice president? Hearing none, do I have to say it 3 times? Yeah. Any nominations for vice president? Any other nominations for vice president? Okay, now I'm good. Roll call vote. Let's see, where's my, alphabetically? Frank Devine? 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 Devine?
Divine.
Okay. I'm an aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
Frank? Peter? Aye. Steve?
I'm an aye.
Okay, so Stephanie is our vice president. You want to, do we need to do any more? No, I'm just wondering if she needs to do any more sliding things around. Okay. Okay, now we're open for nominations of clerk of the board. Any nominations for clerk? Any nominations for clerk? Someone's got to do it. I'll nominate Steve.
I respectfully decline.
Okay?
He did his tour.
Okay. I'll nominate Peter.
Okay. Peter,
I'll second that.
thank you. Peter, do you accept? I'll accept. Okay. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? So that was my 3rd time. Okay, roll call vote. Frank? Stephanie?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Peter? Aye. And Steve?
Aye.
All right, we have a clerk. All right, those are all the board members. Peter will tell you what a clerk does in just a little while. Yeah.
Sign stuff.
All right, the next order of business is to establish our regular board meeting day and time. In accordance with Board Bylaw 9320, the board will establish day and time of each month for its regular monthly meeting. And so I guess I need a motion to have that conversation.
I'll make a motion that we continue to meet as we have on the first Thursday at 6:30 p.m.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? First Thursday of the month. Okay. Is this all in favor or is this a roll call? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0-0. Now we need to talk about the committee board member assignments. We have just for Frank and Peter, we have this list of committee appointments, and some of us are already in some of those positions, so let's find out if they want to continue. Number 6 on the list is the Facility Committee Board Representative. Steve, have you not been doing that?
I have been doing that.
Do you want to continue to do that?
No.
Oh, well, that's what I'm asking for. Number 5 is the Equity Committee, and I'm on that, and I do want to continue. Stephanie, which board committees have you been on?
The equity and the LCAP.
Okay, and do you want to continue on those two?
I would.
Okay. So we need representatives for the number 1, the foundation, number 2, the PTO and Bobcat Club. 3, we need an alternate for the LCAP. 4, we need the Monterey County School Board Association Executive Council. And let's see, there's 2 of us on the Equity Committee, and we need a representative for the Facility Committee. So you want to volunteer for any of those, Frank or Peter or Stephanie? Who said LCAP? I did. Okay. Peter?
Wait, you said Bobcat. Yeah, Bobcat.
Yeah, so he'll be the alternate for the LCAT.
Bobcat.
Bobcat. Oh, Bobcat, sorry. I was more interested in getting somebody on the LCAT. Okay, Bobcat Committee. Facilities, Frank will take facilities. Steve, you want to volunteer for any committees?
SUF.
Okay. So have we got one person on each of the committees now? I think we do.
School boards.
Oh, I've done my time.
I've done my time too.
So any of the three of you want to take this lovely position?
They meet, I'm going to say quarterly-ish, and it's in the evening. I don't know if they've set their times yet for the next year or not.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay, I saw Frank raise his hand. We're going to take that volunteer very quickly.
just so you know, assignment to this is part of the board hazing process for new board members. You'll see what I mean later. Sorry.
Okay, we got somebody on each of the committees. We can do alternates if we need them. Do we need to ratify that in any way? No, I don't think we do.
No, it's
Okay, so
Volunteer.
moving on to announcement of actions taken in closed session. We gave direction for negotiations with management. Okay, individuals desiring to address the board. Do we have little sign-up sheets? Nobody signed up. Does anybody want to address the board on items not on the agenda? The podium is available for 3 minutes. Seeing none, do we have any individuals desiring to address the board on specific agenda items? No, I'll allot you 3 minutes. Seeing none, recognition.
Yeah, tonight we're lucky to have kids with us. Teresa, do you want to introduce your leadership team?
Good evening, everyone. We are recognizing our 22-23 Student Council members. I'm very excited about the work they're doing, and I'm going to, we have some certificates for them, but I'm going to let them speak, and I'm going to start with having Mrs. Santiago come up, who is their support and their facilitator, and I'll let her introduce the students.
Hello, I'm Mrs. Santiago, the school counselor here, and I'm lucky to be leading student council. So we'll call them up to introduce themselves and their position.
Thank you.
Why don't you all come up together so you're more comfortable, and then we'll introduce you by name.
That's quite thoughtful.
Jordan.
Hello, I'm Jordan Flickner, and I'm in 5th grade at Spreckels Elementary. Last year I was the vice president of student council, and this year I'm the president. Already this year we have held our annual food drive, and we've collected around 4,000 items. Currently our toy drive is going on. What I like most about student council is being able to contribute to our school and listening to my peers.
Thank you.
Okay, Jorge Benitez.
Hello, I'm Jorge Benitez Medina, and I am Student Council Vice President. And what I like about serving on Student Council is collecting for the food drive and the toy drive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Caitlin is not here with us tonight. Jasmine.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Rico, and I'm this year's secretary here at Spreckels Elementary. The things I've enjoyed while being in student council are the events we have here. I'm very excited for many more events to come this year. The most recent events we had are the toy drive and the food drive. I am very excited and looking forward to this year's school events.
Good.
Okay, Penelope.
Hi, I'm Penelope Avila, and I'm 4th grade spirit officer. I enjoy being part of student council because we get to plan fun things for our school and do things like the toy drive and the food drive.
Jessica.
Hello, my name is Jessica Swanaraj, and I am 4th grade spirit officer. And what I mostly like about helping our school is that we are donating all the food and donating toys.
Colton.
Hi, my name is Colton Ball, and I'm a 5th grade spirit officer. I ran for student council because I wanted to be involved with our school's ideas and success. Some of the things I like doing as a student council member are collecting food for the people in need and also having a fun time with their friends.
Skylar.
Hello, my name is Skylar Ward, and I'm this year's 5th grade spirit officer. I ran for spirit officer because I wanted to be involved in our school's council, and my favorite part about being student council this year is that I get to help our school with new ideas and announcements.
Okay, thank you for the Spreckels Elementary School Student Council to come. Bye. Yeah, we'll give you a minute to head out. But thanks for coming. Okay. Bargaining unit presentations. STA? Anybody here from STA to speak? No. Anybody here from CSCA?
How I love to get up here and talk. I'm Heather Brodell. For those of you who don't know me, I am the president for CSEA, and I'm also our transportation coordinator here at Spreckels. I just wanted to say thank you for our current members, for always working with us and thinking of our classified staff, and also look forward to working with the new members. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Okay, board member comments, and I'll start on this end so that you can see what's going to happen, Peter and Frank. Steve, any board member comments?
Not much this month. I will say I need to schedule with the superintendent site visits sometime after the new year. So we're into the next trimester now, right? So I'll get out there and see some instruction. And other than that, have a great holiday, everybody. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Stephanie?
I just want to wish everybody a safe and restful winter break. Everybody deserves some time for family, friends, and self-care. It's been a long semester, and everybody's been working really hard. The students have been working hard. Teachers, staff, all school employees have been tireless to educate and care for our students. So thank you. There's been a lot of activities since our last Board of Directors meeting, and I wanted to highlight some of them. I had to put the list here because I actually thought I had the list, and then I realized I missed a bunch of things. So some of the highlights, the presentation by the CHOMP doctors at BV, doing the training for Narcan and talking about overdose, which is really scary, but really important for us to be aware of. We've had the book fair at Spreckels, which was a great success, and then also the RIF, or Reading is Fundamental, which is a program in Monterey County, I think maybe just Salinas, that provides a free book for all students, and they get to choose a book. And I happened to be on campus that day, so I got to walk through it, and I wanted a book. It was such a great exhibit of all kinds of different books for them to choose from. The holiday shop, again, it's really important to recognize that all students are able to shop at the holiday shop at Spreckels thanks to our PTO fundraising. So no child or student comes in and has to miss out on that experience. So I think that really deserves recognition as well. I also had the opportunity to attend the band concert at BV, which was very impressive. Such a great group of students and just doing really incredible work over there. We had the LCAP meeting for that committee, and so reviewing progress. I know we're going to talk about it a little bit tonight. We had our second full day for the Equity Committee doing their training with the Monterey County Office of Education. And while I was at Spreckels for that training, I had the opportunity to kind of walk around during our breaks, and so I got to visit the food distribution area, and I have to say the food smelled really good, so I wanted to share that. I wanted to eat lunch there. And I had a chance to see just the sheer number of meals that we are preparing and providing every day. I had an opportunity to visit the Spreckels Library and see the new librarian, Mrs. Sheppy, and see the facility and hear about some of the programs. And the space is just really inviting and just, again, such a great resource. I mean, so many books and such a great resource for our school and our district. And also recognizing that at BV, I think the 25th anniversary of the library is coming up next month in January, so I think that information has gone out. And then, as Steve alluded to, I'm almost done, I promise. I look forward to having the articulation with the teachers and staff in the new year, so I'm getting to hear directly from them. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Peter, yours doesn't have to be as long as Stephanie's if you don't want it to be.
No, it won't be. First of all, I'm excited to be here. Excited to work with you all. Excited to work with the parents, teachers, and the kids. And other than that, have a happy holidays.
Thanks, Peter. Frank?
I just want to do that.
Yeah.
Maybe we could manufacture a way to bring kids into the January meeting to clearly get more parents at a meeting. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Frank. Okay, so my only comment is that that equity training that we went to, I've been doing this kind of work since the 1970s and was feeling a little discouraged about where we were in terms of how we deal with new people in the neighborhood. And I feel a lot better having gone to that training. And I feel good for Spreckels District and the direction that we're headed. So I wanted to thank those of you that participated and to really be appreciative of all of that. And speaking of being appreciative, I want to appreciate Steve for being president of the board through 2 very difficult years. And, you know, it's just great that we had your leadership through all of that. So I thank you very much. Tip of the cap, that's nice. Any oral or written communications?
No.
Okay, superintendent's report.
I'd also like to thank Steve for his leadership the last couple of years. You did your tour, and thank you. I also want to officially welcome Peter and Frank. I hope you don't have buyer's remorse yet. I know you'll do a great job. You both real eager. It was good meeting with you earlier. And welcome back to Chris. I look forward to successful 4 years, hopefully calm 4 years. We're due for some calm, so that would be the hope. Stephanie mentioned that I'm going to work with both bargaining units to set up informal meetings. Last time we set up about 4. I'll kick it out to the board members if you guys would like to meet. Basically, it's a meet and greet. Management's removed, so you can talk to them freely. I'll be setting those up probably for January and February. I'll shoot you emails if you want, if you can. It's not mandatory, but we'll make that. It was very appreciated, I think, the last time we did it on both sides. So, also like to shout out to our music program, Mrs. Thompson. Last Thursday was wonderful. It was cold. It was outdoors, but they did a wonderful job. Tomorrow is the choir's turn, and if you go, that's indoors, so it's a little less cold. And that's tomorrow at 7 at BV. And I'd also like just to wish the entire district community happy holidays and Merry Christmas. And we're going to make it to the end of the week. People are dragging. We've had a record amount of kids sick and staff, including some of our own here. So hopefully those 2 weeks will give people a chance to recover and get healthy and enjoy your families. So thank you.
Okay. Kate, the podium is yours.
I'm going to keep mine short because I'm kind of lost my voice along being sick. But I also kind of wanted to mimic what everybody was saying. Steve, thank you so much for your leadership over the past 2 years. And welcome to our new board members. Glad to see you on the team. And Stephanie, you highlighted most of what I was going to say. So I have less talking to do tonight. But we have been very busy since our last board meeting. We've already started trimester 2. Students are in new activity classes. We're moving through the trimester pretty quickly already. We had our first middle school dance this past Friday, Winter Wonderland. And we've been doing some leadership activities like a canned food drive and basketball noontime sports where homerooms compete against each other. And they try to have the winning homeroom for basketball competitions. We actually have to delay our staff basketball versus competition versus the students, though, because with the amount of us that are coughing and hacking away, it wouldn't be a pretty sight on the basketball courts. So that'll happen over in January. But looking forward to the start of the school year and for all the fun to continue.
Thanks, Kate. Teresa.
Thank you. I'm last, so I usually am repeating myself, but I too would like to thank Steve and appreciate your leadership. And I also really appreciate your visits to campus, and I'm glad that you're going to continue those. And thanks to our new board members, welcome. And I would like to invite all board members to visit campus whenever you would like. Just let us know ahead of time so we can be available, and we'll give you a tour. You can hang out in the classrooms, walk around whenever you'd like. I think it gives you a better view of what's really going on in real time, and I think you'll enjoy it. So you're always welcome anytime. So please do visit. Stephanie did share all the things that have been going on around here. It's been wonderful. And our student council did also. We, as most of you know, we have a positive character trait every month. November and December are together because of the holidays, and we focus on service. And as the kids said, we did a food drive. And as always, we brought in a lot. Our community is incredible. We actually ended up with, at the very end, over 4,000 food items to give to the food bank. Wow. And if you walked by the bins for the toy drive, they're full, and the last row hasn't been collected. There's tons in the classroom. So tomorrow when they're collected, there won't be room in the bins for them, and those are going to the Salvation Army. On Friday, we have a holiday spirit assembly, and the Salvation Army will be here to receive the toys. We'd like the kids to see the service and how it goes. I'm just checking. There's no kids in here, right? And Santa's coming too. So it's going to be a good day. So thank you, and I wish you all happy holidays.
Thank you, Teresa. Thanks a lot, Steve. Anybody from the foundation? PTO? Bobcat Club? Okay, well, let's move on to business. The November 2022 fund balance report. You want to be able to see the people at the other end of the, yeah. Okay. That's the deal.
Is the fund balance summary beginning on page 9 of the packet. This is transactions through the month of November, 42% of the year. Remaining revenues yet to be received are in the far right column, available at 64%. So they're trending a little lower than the 42, which is actually a good thing. We don't want to receive them all. Well, it's a good thing until we get to the expenditure side, but November's unique. It's the month before December, which is the biggest property tax collection month of the year. So as you can see, we have an operating deficit of $572,000 as of November 30th. But by the time we see this report through December 31st, we'll see that trend. It should be to an operating surplus. There's a lot of detail behind this summary page, so if there's ever specific questions, please reach out and we can go over all the data that compiles this one-page report.
Okay. Program updates. Oh, does anybody have any, thank you, Steve. Does anybody have any questions about the fund balance report? Seeing none, let's move on to the program update. Facilities?
So the first thing on facilities is we had a very successful reaction to the rainstorm over the weekend. I was very concerned Monday morning what we were going to find after the amazing storm went through, but the site held up really well. There were a few little things that we expected, but nothing dramatic. So thanks to Jaime and his team for all the preparation they do before and after these storms to get the sites ready. On the Spreckels site, the new toilet building is coming along. We're hoping that that wraps up probably the first week of January. We know basketball practice is going to be starting soon, so we're getting very close to that. And I do have an update in the consent agenda, Chris, when we get there, about a couple of, well, one of the change orders that we had brought to you earlier, and an update on that, but I'll wait for consent on that one. On the food service program update, I have had another conversation with a food service director, this one from a district of 7,000 students. She actually comes into her position as a chief business official previously as a food service director. And I shared with her the interest of the board to inquire about moving into a self-operated program. And she gave me a wonderful guiding document with a list of like 5 simple questions. The first one being, what's wrong with our current program? And she actually recommended that we do a study session because the investment of this is and will be substantial in the initial and likely secondary year. The staff investment. So my request for you today is whether or not we want to do a study session. We could build it into a budget study session, if you will, when we start looking at the 23-24 budget year. As we've mentioned before, the process of moving into a self-operated kitchen will be a mighty lift, and the conversation I had with the CBO out of a much larger district she suggested that it was unlikely to pull it off in 23, 24. And if we started diligently planning now, we might be ready for 24, 25. And so with that information, I reached out to Salinas City to ask how our program was, how their service to our program was impacting their program. Because you recall last year, it was challenging for them specifically because of the delivery of the product to our school sites. We invested in the box truck, we're doing our own deliveries, and I heard back from the director today, and she greatly appreciates that we're doing that. It definitely has had an impact to their program, and they are here to continue to support us as long as we need it. And she's still encouraging us to investigate moving into a self-op. Part of these guiding principles, and if we do a study session, I will share that with you, is talking to all the many stakeholders that would be involved in this. The financial implication, the staffing implication, the community, what they're feeling right now about our program. So that is where we are with that. And I think that when we get to the January board meeting, which, by the way, circling back to the dates that we and times we approved, Chris, we talked about moving back to the DO.
Yeah.
So I know staff would love that. If we could meet, we're obviously not needing space. If we can seat several members of the public in that room, and if for some reason there was an overflow, we could adjust on the fly if we needed to.
Okay.
But we didn't complete that. So back to the food service. Any questions, any comment, any interest?
Okay, Steve?
Yeah, I think a study session is in order, but let's run it through the facilities committee first. See what they have to say.
Wait, the food services wouldn't be under facilities committee, would it?
Well, it's a facilities issue.
It's partially a facilities issue because there would definitely be a modification to the to the Buena Vista. That would be the live kitchen. That would be, that has the beginning of the required equipment that would be needed. There would definitely have to be some augmentation to the facilities at Spreckels, because even with things being delivered, I think we would at the minimum have to meet the health department requirements for the 3-bucket sink, which is a cleaning process.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for an effective study session on the subject matter, we need to know from the facilities committee what we can and can't do, and the staffing will follow. So and you know, in the program.
Yeah.
So I think facilities committee first.
Okay.
Let's hear from them on the matter in a board meeting, and then study session follows.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Okay.
Any comments from the rest of the board? Yeah, no, that makes sense to have that conversation go through the facilities committee, and the facilities committee to come back with a report to us. Yeah, and then we can have a study session as needed. Okay.
So there's a component to the facilities committee that I think we'll share at the LCAP update, because we did update, it is one of the goals, right, of the LCAP. Goal 5 is related to facilities. So Eric, at that point when we reference the activities that have taken place since then, we can talk about scheduling the next facilities committee and add this item to the agenda. So then, thank you for that. The next item on program update is transportation, and Stephanie specifically requested information about the transportation program's budget. I think you referenced that you didn't see it in the fund balance. It didn't exist in its own fund, which is correct. It does not. It is a resource within Fund 01. We have many, many, many resources within Fund 01, and so you would not see that in that fund balance report, but I can give you any transactional detail, pages and pages of GL transactions if that's what you're interested in. But you asked for a summary level of current year to prior. So if you look at this report on column C, you'll see the 2021-22 actuals. We brought in $297,000 worth of revenue, and we spent $297,000. So the reason that ties so lovely is because this is a resource that has to balance annually, and whatever the shortfall is comes from this row 5, 8980, contributions from the restricted fund. And that has always been the case with transportation. The unrestricted side of the budget supports the program because we don't collect enough revenue from the state of California or in transportation fees to pay for the entire program. So within that $231,000, which is a contribution, there is a line item on our local control funding formula calculator that is the apportionment that we received the day the calculator first came into being, which was in 2012-13. That number has not changed. It's $225,000. A few months ago, when we talked about the state budget, we spoke to the fact that the state was for the first time going to be adding a cost of living adjustment onto the transportation revenue from the state, if you will. And I think that's what you were questioning. What are we doing with that increase? And it's $12,000 or $13,000. It's actually not designated yet in the calculator because the final language of the budget spoke to a COLA in the subsequent years. But if it is $12,000, $13,000, $20,000, that will offset the contribution from the general fund. So again, last year we spent $297,000. This year we're projected to spend $347,000. The variance is $50,000. Column F represents just actuals to date, so you can see that there is a variance of $73,000 that may not be spent, and that represents the vacancies that are currently in the program. It's true that we have unfilled positions, and so we don't adjust the budget because we have the hope and the intent to hire those positions. But it could be at year end, if we have no success, that variance will actually exist, which then reduces the contribution from the general fund. I thought it would be just in terms of comparisons to see of our entire budget, how much is this program. So on this at the bottom of the sheet here, in 2021-22, the entire program was 2.5% of our general fund budget, and this year it's projected to be just under 3%. So it is increasing, and we expect that because we did a very nice reclassification for the bus drivers. We raised their salaries from 21 to 22. Other things go up, fuel, obviously, statutory benefits. So is there any specific questions you may have about this, or?
That was helpful because I reviewed this and I think I got a good picture, but your presentation helped clarify a lot of the questions that I had. So thank you.
Okay. Any other board members have any questions about transportation? No? Thank you. Okay. All right, so that finishes the program update. Class configurations.
There's been very little activity. We're actually down one student from our last report that we presented in October, but holding steady at 930 students across the district.
Okay. Any questions? The 2021-22 Education Protection Act actual expenditures by function.
So many years ago, I think it was 2012, the state passed Prop 30, which was a funding mechanism to support education, kind of coming off the Great Recession. And this funding source is called the Education Protection Act, creating the Education Protection Account. And we get a source of revenue. And annually, we are required to publicly present, I'm sorry, I'm looking at this and there's two typos.
No.
Yeah, it is 2021-22, so the first line is right, but the expenditure of 2614 needs to tie to the revenue. So that first line of revenue, 1804, is probably last year's number. But the requirement by the state is that you can only spend these dollars on instruction, the function of instruction, and that function line where you see the 1,000s to the 199, that represents teacher salaries. So this is the public declaration. I'll make a correction before we execute this board packet to show that we indeed spent these funds only on teachers.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Okay, seeing none, let's go on to item 5. The Monterey Educational Risk Management Authority positive net ending net position as of June.
So the Monterey Educational Risk Management Authority is our workers' compensation joint powers agency. We are one of many members across the district, across the county of Monterey, and annually we present to you the net position of the JPA as a whole to comply with Ed Code 42141. And we have a very healthy net position of $33 million. It basically is the calculation that if we were all to close down today, how many claims, workers' comp claims, that still need medical support or disability payments through the life of the claim, what it would take. Those liabilities are $15 million against the assets of $38 million. It's a very, very healthy JPA,
Yep.
of which we are a very tiny part of it. It's, yeah, driven by your proration is driven by your salaries.
Any questions about the JPA? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to our first action item. I'll entertain a motion for the 2022-23 first interim report, including balances in excess of minimum reserve requirements.
Move.
Second? Is there a second? Okay, thanks. If we can do this pretty systematically, move and second, then we'll get these things out on the table and just keep going. Makes it easier for them to keep track of records on who moves in seconds if we do that. Doesn't mean that you have to support any of these things. We're just getting them out on the table. Yeah. Okay. So
this is the first interim. It's a very lengthy report. It is in the format of what we call SACS, the acronym SACS, which is the school account code structure. And it's a lengthy report, but I'm going to just jump to page 85. I think it's a nice summary of what we're projecting will happen. So we present the budget in the current year, which is 22-23, and then we also show 2 subsequent years based on a list of assumptions. And the goal is to develop a budget that is ending with a net increase to the fund balance that therefore creates a positive certification for us to send to the County Office of Education. So in the current year, we're projected to bring in 11.8 million, spend 11.7, have a net increase to the fund balance of $141,000. And then you can see in the 2 subsequent years that actually grows. There is a nice COLA projected at this point from the state budget that obviously will be updated as things start to develop in January through May. The important assumptions in this projection are that enrollment will stay flat. We're not expecting a lot of growth. We're hoping to maintain our enrollment and actually maybe bring some of the kids back that we lost during families who maybe chose other educational settings during COVID. And it's also retaining all employees at their current levels, which means we have not reduced any program. That's significant because back in 2020-21 and into 21-22, we started bringing several programs in to support the learning loss and to mitigate learning loss. You may recall we had the bridging program, we hired an intervention teacher, we now have 2 counselors. Those are all LCAP actions, and they were funded by these state and federal funds that were coming down like rain during COVID, but they all have expiration dates on them. And we planned it out for them to last us for a 3-year period for these programs. So that third year will be 23-24. Well, then in this year's state budget, the 22-23 state budget, there was a lovely allocation of discretionary funds that when I built this budget, we're not recognizing any of those dollars in the current or first subsequent year. We're waiting till the third year to recognize those dollars. So again, we can continue to fund both the site counselors, the intervention teacher. It picks up all the natural step and column, which is movement that current employees move with years of service, and we still show a positive net increase of $300,000 and $343,000. So it's
good.
very, very good news.
Yeah. Okay, any question or discussion from the board? Stephanie?
Yes, I have a question. So on page 23, I think it was the expenditures, the account 5,5999. I think it had the largest increase, and I wondered what that was attributed to.
Page 23
Yes. Of the full packet.
of the entire board packet.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm on page 23.
So I think it looks like
Is it B5?
it is. Yes.
Okay, so those, and you're looking at the difference of
About 12%.
the projected year moving from, we adopted at 921. Our last revised budget, which was the AB 1200 that we did for the certificated staff, we moved it to 974. And now in the projected, as a first interim, we're moving it to 1,087. The majority of that is related to our placements at the Monterey County Office of Ed special education programs. We have students who we support, but not in our facilities because we can't provide those services. And it's called the Bill Back. They run the programs, they build the home districts back. And so we saw an increase in or an alignment, really, if you will, of the students in those programs, as well as there was an increase to a local program that were students that we're supporting within the district. So those are related to contracted services for student instruction.
Okay. So it wasn't what we expected in the budget, but now.
No, it wasn't. It's that entire $112,000 isn't the whole piece of it, because I move all kinds of little buckets around. There's maybe $18,000 or $20,000 of that that's related to maybe it's a utility or another contracted service based on, we just refreshed the printers. But the bulk of it is coming under special ed, and you can see that in the summary. Let me get to the summary page. I'm sorry, the summary of the budget revision, which begins on page 91. So let me jump over here. So as you start to see all of these lines, they represent all the transactions of all the changes that we make in these budget revisions. Some of them are benefits. Those 3,000s are benefits. There's the 5,000s that you were mentioning. Supplemental professional instruction, special ed professional instruction, allocation of direct. There's lots of moving parts.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a lot of detail, and I would encourage you, if you want to look at it page by page, it's a lot easier maybe than in this forum. I would welcome you to come sit down with me and go over it, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I want everybody to know the same information.
Well, there's one more page in this report before you call the motion that I want to focus on, which is, where is it? Page 90. This page is a summary of our beginning balance where we start the year, the 5.4, what happens by the time the revenues come in, the expenditures go out, and then what the pieces of that new ending balance, the 5.6 million, make up. And so this is where you start to see all of those resources that we spoke of. All these resources are within this Fund 01, and we have to recognize, designate the value of each of those resources, because the ones that are in this restricted area can only be spent on those programs. And then down here, we start to look at commitments that we may have or do have. Some of them we actually do have. For example, compensated absences. That's the easiest example. People who work with us now, if they were to leave, that would be their balance of their vacation that we would have to pay off. So we go through the 4.2 that's available to substantiate, and this is where the board has some discussion about priorities. So, for example, after designating the things I know will happen or that we have already prioritized, I put a balance of what's left in facilities repair. It doesn't mean that we're spending 2.9 million in there, but the goal is to have a zero unsubstantiated balance, because the state, even though Spreckels is exempt from this rule, they don't want districts to just create these big fat savings account and not spend their funds. So this is where we can start the conversation about either a program that you may want to increase, but it has a one-time cost, like the cafeteria, if we decide to expand the food service program.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Well, going off of what Veronica was saying about the prioritizing, so is that like something that would happen in the LCAP, where we would make those priorities and then could earmark some of these
Absolutely.
funds?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, depends on what it is. Some things might come up through the facilities committee to the LCAP. Yeah.
Right. Well, no, I'm just thinking, and I mean, I know a lot of us as parents for the district, we get a lot of emails and requests, which I totally understand, and we want to support our teachers, but asking for a lot of supplies, arts and crafts, and just a lot of classroom supplies. So maybe that's a conversation to have in LCAP to make sure that the classrooms are fully supplied for some of these activities.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, Veronica, does this require a roll call vote or
No.
That's
Not
kind
this
of cut off here on my paper. Okay, so we have a motion to approve the 2022-23 first interim report, blah, blah, blah. All in favor say aye. Aye. Guys, you need to turn on your mic so I can hear ayes.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion passes 5-0-0. Okay, now we have, I'll accept a motion to look at the resolution 22-23-/9 first interim budget report revision.
Move.
Can I get a second? Thank you. All right.
This
Veronica.
just is the resolution that shows the transactional impact of the first interim.
All right. Any questions about that? Okay. This is a roll call vote. Regarding the motion to approve resolution 22-23/9, Frank? I'm an aye. Steve?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Okay, so the motion passes 5-0-0. Resolution 22-23/10, designating authorized agent to sign school orders for the school year.
I'll move it.
Thanks.
This is housekeeping to align to the new list of trustees.
Okay, any questions? Okay, Frank? I'm an aye. Steve?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0-0. Resolution 2223/11, designating authorized agent to pick up accounts payable and payroll checks. I'll take a motion.
Move.
Second?
Thank you.
Similar.
Yeah. Any discussion down the way? Questions? Okay, regarding that motion, Frank? I'm an aye. Steve?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes 500. Regarding Resolution 2223/12, approval of district representative to Joint Powers Authority. Is there a motion?
Move.
Second?
Thank you. Any?
It's the same. It's just updating with the new trustees.
Right. Thank you. I'm an aye. Steve?
Aye.
Stephanie?
Aye.
And Peter?
Aye.
Motion passes 500. Okay, and then same thing again for Resolution 2223/12, approval of, is that what I just did?
We just did that.
Okay.
We're at number 6.
We're at the annual report for developer fees. Motion to approve.
I'll move it.
Second?
Okay.
This is a requirement every December to present the collection of developer fees across our boundaries. And we do a current plus a 4-year look back. So in 21-22, we brought in $34,000 worth of developer fees. We earned $1,300 worth of interest. And then we have to designate the source. The bulk of the source, which is this last 3 rows, you can see they were all commercial, and the 2 big ones, the 64 and the 20,000, represent the new Love's truck stop over on the other side of the freeway. So the reason the district gets developer fees for these types of projects is because there is the possibility that it could impact our enrollment. And even with commercial development, what can happen is a new commercial development can draw in new employees, and employees who have school-age children may want to come into our district they may not live in our district, but under the Allen bill, they have the right to request an inter-district transfer into our district if their parents work in our district. So there's a potential for impact if even with a commercial development of our enrollment growing, which would be great, and we do have some room. So that is the annual developer fees report.
Okay, not much. All in favor of approving the motion for the annual report on developer fees, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Motion passes 500. Proposals for, wait, the top part of mine's blocked off.
Number 7.
Thank you. The E-rate 2023 Category 2 Network Electronics Draft Request for Proposals for Meraki Access Point and License Refresh. Do we have a motion?
I'll move.
Thank you.
So this is a draft RFP. We will be finalizing it this week, but we wanted to get it to you because it's timely in nature. So E-rate is a federal program that allows districts to get discounts for providing internet access or network equipment to support internet in learning environments. E-rate supports schools and also public libraries. So we are up for a refresh of our Meraki devices, which are the Wi-Fi connectors that are all over the campuses, and as well as the licenses that go with each one of them. And E-rate Category 2 is specific for equipment, and we have approximately $170,000 that it's a discounted program. So based on our poverty free and reduced count, we can get a discount of up to 40% of $169,000 if we invest in these programs, which we will be doing anyway. And we have 5 years to do it. So we are in year 3 of a 5-year period. We haven't spent any of the funds because we haven't needed to do that, but we're ready to go on this. So the total cost of the project is projected to be around $98,000. We'll get a 40% discount return from schools and library, and then the balance of it will be funded out of the building fund.
Okay. Is this a motion to approve the request for the discount, or is it a motion to approve the purchase?
It's a motion to approve the draft, the RFP, because we will post this on the USAC, which is it's the portal that we have to make a
Right.
public posting, a call to bids, if you will, and this has to be posted, and then vendors can go out and make proposals, and then we go through a matrix. I think we have reference to the matrix in here.
Yeah.
Of how we select the vendor that we award and this is really, it's not construction, it's really equipment.
Yeah.
But there is an installation component, which is going to be climbing on ladders and getting up to the wireless devices and changing them out.
Okay.
It's a
Any
great
questions from
program.
anybody else?
That's it.
No? All in favor of approving the motion to approve the E-rate category RFP, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes 5-0-0. All right. Eric, anything about curriculum and instruction?
You and Stephanie mentioned the Equity Committee held its second of 3 trainings. We were going to have our third and final on Tuesday, but everybody's sick, and so we needed the subs to actually allow us to have students in class. So we'll have that last one when we get back from break. But 2, we reconvened our LCAP committee a few weeks ago, kind of like a progress report, like we're at almost at the halfway part of the year. So for each one of our goals, we have 5 goals. The actions are all listed, and then to the right is basically what we've done so far to meet that action. First 2 goals really are dealing with learning loss and social emotional support for kids after COVID. Talks about intervention, counseling, our bridging program. Goal 1 is for all students. Goal 2 has to do with our unduplicated, which are basically our English learners, our foster youth, and our low income, because they bring in extra dollars. One of the things we talked about at the LCAP committee was we have additional supplemental money. I know it doesn't make sense, but that's a pot of money that we have a hard time spending sometimes. So we kind of brainstorm ideas for how we could enhance those services. And one of the things we're doing is thank you, you put me in touch with Dr. Ross, who's a parent, but he's also the director of CSUMB's Reading Center. And he's worked with our intervention team, but he also, we are working on a partnership to have some of our English learners enroll in their reading center, which is going to be kind of cool. So you'll see that actually later on in the consent. That's what that contract. So that was one of the discussions we had. Mrs. Villarengo, who's our ELD teacher, this is one of those times that you can go ahead and make a wish list, and we could probably honor it. So goal 3 is our commitment to equity and diversity, and goal 4 has to do with basically the content standards, textbooks, professional development. And then goal 5, which we kind of allude to, is our new goal about facilities. And so right now, action 1, the facility inspections, there's a tool that Veronica uses that's been complete. We're working with the principals to gather site priorities. Veronica and I had a meeting with a company called CFS, California Financial Services, that we have a long-standing relationship with. Do you want to kind of summarize what we talked to them about and what our next step would be with them?
Well, we shared our goal 5 and talked about the progress to date in terms of having the FITs done, the facility inspection tools that are required by both our board policy and ed code. They're done annually, and then they're also reported in the school accountability report card that will be published in probably February. And we took the conversation to Michael Dodge and Stephen Gold, who work with California Financial Services, who again, they've been with the district, not those 2 gentlemen specifically, but the firm, through 2 of our prior bond measures. And we started talking about the development of a stakeholder survey, to determine what the priorities, we've collected priorities from both site principals about their facilities wish list that they've gotten just from their own understanding of what's going on in the facilities. But we want to start developing that stakeholder survey that will go out to staff, community, and then from there, make a determination about what we can do under the maintenance budget, the routine restricted maintenance budget, what we can do with our own general fund, that designation we saw, the 2.6 million in the reserve, and what needs to happen through a bond measure with support of the local taxpayers. And that piece is, that requires some analysis of assessed value and what they call bonding capacity. We can't just go out and run a bond measure and say, hey, homeowners, we want $10 million and we're going to throw XYZ on your property tax statement. It doesn't work that way. There's a very formulaic process. So what we'd like to do is take, at the next facilities committee meeting, talk about the inspections, the wish lists to date, and see if there is interest in developing the survey, what their recommendation is to bring back to the board, and potentially enter into an agreement with California Financial Services to walk us through this process. To get to the point of, do we invest in a traditional facilities master plan, which I don't believe that's what we need. Facilities master plans are really geared towards districts that are growing in capacity of students, or they're buying property to build a new school. I think most of our work is replacement, refurbishment, and maintenance, specifically the portables at both school sites, and they are under a age requirement. You can get some matching funds from the state of California if they're of a certain age, and we are just entering that age. 25 years is the magic number, and I think that happens in 2024. So this whole process, if we were to talk about a bond measure, it's an 18 to 24 month planning process before even election day. So the timing is nice, because if we decide that's the direction, we would want to be on the 2024 general election. That's the highest success rate for bond measures, because that's the most active voters, typically a general election, especially if it's a presidential election. So we'll take this to the facilities committee, get their input, and bring something back to y'all.
Okay. Any questions about the committee reports, or if, is that the LCAP report too?
Yep.
Okay. No?
Nope.
All right, let's move on to number 3, the Spreckels transition to.
So we have a live link to our new policies, and this is what it's going to look like, although we need to confirm with Frank and Peter their email addresses. I don't know if y'all want to set up a specific one to SUSD trustee or at SUSD, or so that they don't commingle with your personal or business emails, because I need to notify the California School Boards Association who our new, since you took your oath tonight, who our new trustees are, and we'll start updating all kinds of directories with that information. So if you can make that decision and send your choice to Eric or me later, we can do that. But this link will be soon. We will link our current website. A link will be added to get to this Assembly website where we can see all of our policies. So it's going to be so much better than what we've been doing. This was a project a year in the making. So if we wanted to go and see what is our COVID-19 mitigation plan, that's kind of funny, but we did have one. There it is. The public will easily have access to all of these policies and regulations. So the reason I'm showing it just as information tonight, I want to prepare you for a conversation in January when we do our board protocols discussion about the process for reviewing the updates. They come about 3 or 4 times a year. In the past, we've divvied them up between y'all, and you might get instructions, Stephanie, and And Steve might get personnel, and we want to talk about that process. And Lisa Belton is going to come to that meeting and kind of walk through what it's like on this platform, as opposed to how we were doing it, which was sending y'all a bunch of PDFs. So the good news is, as soon as I have your new emails, we can update the link on our website, and it will no longer say that our policies are under construction.
Yeah, that's great news.
It was
Okay, any questions? Steve?
I do highly encourage you to get a separate email for board business. You don't want to just throw your personal email into the mix. Why? This almost never happens, but if you use personal devices, personal email for board business, it could be subject to a California Public Records Act request. That almost never happens.
You're so reassuring.
I highly encourage you to get a new email and make it unique to this, and stick all this business in that email. Yeah.
Okay. Consent items. Veronica, you had a couple of things about this?
Yes, we did make the correction to remove to D2. The hire date is incorrect, so we just removed that item. But I just wanted to share, under contracts A with CSG and C with JT Plumbing and D with MBS Systems, those are all revised contracts that we're bringing back to you because the price was reduced. So we actually saw savings on 3 different vendor contracts, and I just think we should celebrate that.
Yeah.
Yay. On that note, I'd like to move the consent agenda as is, as amended, actually.
Yeah. Second? Okay, any questions about the consent agenda? Okay, all in favor of approving the consent agenda as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? No? Great. Okay, so before we adjourn, let's make sure that we've all got this correct. The next meeting is January first Thursday. I know, I'm making Veronica scramble. Thank you.
The 5th, the first Thursday.
January 5th? And can we move these back to, I mean, is it our decision to move it back to the, and I think that we can move it back to the district office. We don't need all of these chairs and things, hopefully, for a while. So we'll move back to a district office if there's no objections down the table. No? All right. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. And
We're done.
we're
That's a
adjourned
wrap.
at 8:18.